Hello everyone, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming bringing you another World of Warcraft video. Today we're going to be showing you a Theater of Pain Mythic +8. So what that means is, this week the bonuses are Fortified, so non-boss enemies have 20% more health and inflict up to 30% increased damage, as well as we have Sanguine, so when slaying non-boss enemies, they leave behind a lingering pool of ichor that heals their allies and damages the player. So basically, as you kill things, it drops a red pool on the ground. Move out of it and drag the mobs out of it. Also, we will be dealing with Grievous, so injured players suffer increased damage over time until healed. So you have to fully heal them up in order to get rid of this buff. As we are only doing a +8 and not a 10, we don't have to deal with Prideful, so we just have to deal with these three buffs. Theater Pain, there's a couple parts that were a little bit challenging. We'll get into that just because there's more AoE or splash damage, so a lot of people were taking Grievous all at the same time, as well as there's some tight corridors where the pools of blood, the Ichor was adding additional damage and was a little bit problematic. Let's jump into it. Okay, here we go. We're just going to activate the +8 countdown. So there's a couple different approaches you can take to the start here. This first pull, there's 3 mobs and then there's the mounted mob behind it. You can either pull them all together or you can tackle them individually. In this particular group, we're going to approach it individually. So here we're just going to pull these 3, pull them forward a little bit so we don't engage the mob at the back. Kicking some necrotic bolts as they come out, but otherwise just basically DPSing these down. As you can see, there's just a Grievous wound that appeared quickly on the tank. Just got to heal him up. So basically, if you get hit, take damage, you're going to be getting that buff. You have to be hit by a mob bite. If you stand in the pools of blood, you don't actually get the Grievous. So you got to be engaged or hit by a mob. So now we're on the Bloodhorn here. He does apply it. So there he's doing his Raging Tantrum. As you can see, all the melee got hit, all 3 of us. So we all have the Grievous wound. So you just got to get everybody topped up. The range, we're standing back, but now shuffled forward. The next time that it does this, he's going to hit more of us, and I think almost all of us could see there he's doing it, and actually there's all 5 of us got hit by that. So now as a healer, I got to top everybody up to 100% in order to get rid of that debuff. And now we're moving into the first boss. I was able to get everybody but myself, which I was comfortable with. I can manage that on my own. So in this particular fight, as you know, there's the 3 different ones. You pick one, you basically nuke it down, and around 40%, they each get a bubble and then start to do something a little bit different. So in this group, we're attacking Dessa, the melee one, the one that can apply the Mortal Strike. And at 40%, it gets a shield and then fixates. So here's the fixate. It's on our Druid, who didn't quite react quick enough. And so now he's starting to kite, dragging it away. We got burst through the shield and then DPS them down. So finally, fixate's over, the shield's gone, so now it's just back to regular tank and spank, so we're just DPSing down, trying to finish it off. Did a pretty good job here of keeping them all together so that they all kind of get cleaved down while we're working on Dessa. So Dessa's going to fall here, and then we're going to jump onto Passran. So here we're just kicking some Plague Bolts as we can. He's the one that puts a debuff on people that you just got to dispel. He also gets a shield that makes him uninterruptible at 40%. Just burst through that and he's down, and now we're on to Sathel. Sathel's the one that's creating all this plague poison stuff around the ground. Just basically don't stand in it. There was of course the rogue that comes out of stealth and stuns people. Was pretty much a non-issue in this fight. People were very on top of just interrupting that, because once interrupted, then the 4th one disappears and we're back onto the ads, and nobody really was incapacitated much in that fight. The DPS were really good with the interrupts. Basically, as soon as the 4th rogue appears, it'll stun somebody, just instantly interrupt them, and then they leave, and then you're back to usual, back on doing your business. You can choose which boss you want to go to. So here we've decided that we're going to go for Zave the Unfallen. So we're just going to clear this trash here. Nothing too fancy, but the trash, just clear them down. They shoot, they stab, it's typical stuff. They're going to put out a couple of these Grievous wounds because they have an AoE attack. And so a couple of us take it here. Just top everybody up. Don't stand in the blood. I stood in the blood a little bit too long. Didn't realize I was still standing in it, and it took an extra couple ticks that I didn't need. So just got to top everybody else up. get out of the blood and move on to the mini boss. So of course, these are just like mini bosses that kind of show what the main boss is going to do. So there he's got Savage Fury, which is a tank, one that the tank needs to worry about. Does a fair bit of damage. Just top him up. Nothing that you can't manage. And here it's going to jump and smash and just don't stand in the circle. General WoW stuff, you know, don't stand in stuff on the ground. Avoid being in front of the boss or mini boss for cleaves and whatnot, and pretty simple and straightforward here. So we're just going to wrap this up. This dungeon's pretty straightforward. There's not really any packs you have to worry about skipping for progression, because of course it's a Mythic Plus, so we have to get 100% trash in order to complete the instance. So there's only one real pack that you avoid, and we'll get to that later. Otherwise, as you see it, you just kill it. So again, this is another mini boss, so it's just pretty much stand behind this boss. He's going to jump, so don't stand in that. He's got his ricocheting blades. He's going to throw that, throws his blades at somebody. Just got to heal him up because it applies the grievous wounds. Here he goes again with his charge, so he dashes out. Nothing too complicated here, just simple. Avoid his charge. He's automatically going to hit somebody with the blade, so heal them up. There I stood in front of the charge, so you can see how much damage that deals. It did quite a bit. I think I lost 60-70% of my health. Then top everybody else up, get rid of the grievous wound, and as soon as this guy's down, then we're just on to the next one. The good thing about this instance is there's not a lot of trash on this particular wing. There's just a few pulls. This is one of the more tougher pulls, just with there's some AoE damage here, and you just got to get rid of the captain here. He's the more annoying one of the bunch. So we're just going to AoE them all down kind of simultaneously. There was a little bit of AoE damage that went out there. I need to be in there to generate my holy power, so I got cleaved there, and I have a few stacks of the grievous wounds. As we can see, I was up to 4 stacks. I think 4 out of the 5 of us have it right now, so it's a little bit painful. So I'm throwing out as many heals as I can. My divine toll is down, which is unfortunate. I could have really used it right there. So we're just kind of kiting back, kind of leave some of the pressure so that I can get everybody topped up. As you can see, now we're just down to 3 of us on it, slowly making progress. Only one more mob left, so I'm just trying to get everybody topped up. Generating some holy power because there's not a lot of damage coming out other than the tick. So I'm just getting my holy power topped up. There I got all of us but 2, so myself and the warrior still need to be topped up completely, but it's not too bad. It's ticking pretty lightly at this point where we can freely aggro the last mob here. So I'm just going to jump in. I'll continue generating holy power and just heal up the rest of the raid. There was, he was doing like a whirlwind, supposed to stand out of that green. I was actually surprised that I didn't take any damage there. The boss will do that as well, so you just want to stand out of that. Otherwise, this guy's pretty straightforward. So there's this whirlwind. Again, got to get out. I didn't get out. Took probably 80% damage there. And so the boss does the same kind of mechanic. He'll suck you into the middle, and then you got to run out of that. So here we have a few of us with the grievous wounds again. Yeah, and see I get hit by a whirlwind again. I thought he was going to die before it got off, but we didn't DPS it down quick enough, so I got hit by that. So it just it shows how much damage it can do. Like at 80% of my health, I think it was about 60% when that hit me, and it just killed me. So that was my bad. Would have been funnier if I had a res in that pool and then died again. So now we're on to Zave. So as you know, for this guy, he's going to do a seismic leak that in the middle that causes some party damage. He's going to throw on a flag that slows you, and you need to DPS that, because then he's either going to have a frontal cone that you need to avoid the cleave, or he's going to have his whirlwind that you also need to get out of. So here's his banner. So we're going to just DPS the banner. Here we go, and now he's doing a slam, so don't stand in front of that. He just slams in a front line. There's the whirlwind, so I actually got nicked by that twice, which then spawned into his frontal cleave, and I ate both of that. That's really bad on me. Just showing what you shouldn't do. So then he picks 2 DPS and throws them down below. So of course, one of you decide who you want to win, and the other guy just lets the person kill them. So one person gets a buff, the other person gets a little bit of debuff, but more importantly, you're back up with the party and you're back on the boss. So again, just DPS down the banner. Here he's doing some quite significant damage to our tank. He's doing his cleave in front, so stand behind. Now he's doing his whirlwind. Don't get caught in that. Some pretty big damage coming out because he does do decent AoE damage, and as a result, people are getting grievous wounds. So we're a little bit low there. I was down a CD, so trying to get everybody topped up, but he was doing his 2 abilities, so I couldn't exactly go in and generate holy power. But we were able to just power through it and get it down. So as usual, he just throws 2 DPS down. One lets the other one kill it, come back up, kill the banner, kill the boss. Don't stand in the green circle, in the green area. So whether it's the circle around him during whirlwind or the frontal area when he's doing his cleave, and when he's doing his slam, don't stand in a straight line in front of him. Pretty good, pretty simple and straightforward. As you can see, I got hit a couple times. I just was caught in healing, didn't really see the green. So I got hit a couple times, and fortunately I didn't go down, but it is pretty big damage. As you can see, like it was taking off 60-70% of my health. So this pull is a little bit frustrating, or it can be. There's 2 different ways to pull it. The easiest way is to do this, where you go out and you tag a bunch of them and you drag it back into this little hallway. But as they die, as you can see, there's the ichor, the blood, so just don't stand in it. So we're constantly pulling back on weeks where it is, where they add the debuff or they explode. That can be a little bit challenging because you want to kind of nuke them all at once. You don't want to have it staggered because it then just keeps adding a debuff. And as it stacks, as a healer, I found I could keep up with a 6, but if it got to a 7, that was too much. And so here we got through there. It was a little bit slow going through there because they attach the chain, and then you're taking damage potentially from getting hit by the green AoE that's falling, as well as they have their own soul touch cast that also is adding damage here. So this is getting a little bit intense. A lot of grievous wounds, as well as the ichor as some of them die. So we're trying to get them a little bit further away from the door so we have some room to work with. I need about a couple seconds to get one of my spells off here. There's a lot of damage. And again, we lost one there due to the ichor there is just a little bit tough. They pulled it back into the hallway. I'm kind of stuck in the corner here. It was pretty intense. I should have actually used Divine Toll. I don't think I realized it was up. That would have probably saved the warrior from dying. So here we have a couple people with the bleed still on. I'm just going to get topped up. Going to run and tag this. This guy's pretty straightforward. He's got a little bit of a cleave, so try not to stack too tightly on him. He does like a whirlwind attack here in his soul storm. If you get hit by it, it will add the Grievous. So there we're all a little bit too close. So a number of us got hit with the Grievous wounds. So now I'm just trying to top everybody up. Otherwise, he's pretty straightforward. You just DPS him down. That was the main damage ability you had to worry about. So now he's down. He also applies a curse, but as a paladin, I can't do anything about it. And then, of course, you pick up the orb. You activate the portal and jump through. So it's the best route is to put it on the right. Then you jump through. So here we had interrupted one, so we can move it, stack them up, drop the beam. So now they can't cast in that. And now we're just going to nuke them down. Kick as you can for the bone spear. It's a pretty straightforward there for those couple mobs. And now we're off to the next platform. This platform is about the same. We see that, I'm going to call it elemental. He's got his little soul storm, so don't stand in that. We're going to kick as many necrotic bolts as we can, kill the maggots first, and then we're going to kill the other caster, the soul binder. Kicking spells as we can. Try not to stand in the soul storm. As you can see, a little bit of damage got put out there. A number of us got hit by either the spells or in the soul storm. So I think 4 to 5 of us right now have the bleed. So just standing back, try not to stand in the ichor. I'm going to come in here and try to generate some holy power in order to get everybody topped up. This was my first time experiencing the Grievous wound. It was actually fairly enjoyable. I know that a lot of my party was pretty low on health regularly throughout the dungeon, but as we're progressing through, we're not waiting a lot of time between pulls. So I'm trying to get everybody topped up as I can, but they don't want to waste too much time, so we're constantly moving forward. and I noticed there that as we jumped through the portal, my buff just completely disappeared. So this one is, you want to watch out for the tornado. They cast the death wind, so basically you're going to summon a tornado going in a certain direction. Don't stand in front of it, otherwise it will just knock you off and send you to your death. So we're just spinning them around in circles, watching to see which way they're spawning that. See, there we got quite fortunate. It hit the warrior, but he was able to heroic leap back. But if he was not able to, that would have just knocked him off the platform and he would have been sailing to his death. This particular spot here is a little bit annoying if you die because you got to go through all the portals, so it can be a little bit time consuming. This is actually the last platform you're going to land on. There is one of the casters that will summon their tornadoes, so we actually deal with him last, dealing with the magus and the soulbinder first, kicking the spears and necrotic bolts as they come out, and just dodging the tornadoes. So here we have them all pulled together. They have a spell that the healer needs to debuff. There goes another tornado. So it's just like a frost aura that they put on some people, so you just dispel it. Again, dealing with grievous wounds because you can't kick every single spell that comes out. And then I just got feared into while I had a bleed that I was trying to heal, so I just got killed there. We're going to get through this, and now everybody's off onto the next one. They actually didn't realize I was dead. And the warrior has a dot on him as well. He's got the grievous wound, so he's going to die, unfortunately, as well. So what should have happened there is we have the druid. The druid should have healed up the warrior as well as then res me afterwards. So as he said, he didn't realize, so he's going to grab me here, and then we'll just res everybody and off to the next. A little bit unfortunate, but didn't slow us down too much. So now we're off down to the next boss. So we've activated you can make a shortcut there that drops an orb there. You just drag it back to the portal and it creates a shortcut. So if you do happen to wipe, you don't have to go through all those platforms. And now we're on to the next boss. So this is Kolthera. So basically the main thing here is that he's going to put a soul bind or draw a soul spell on you. And then while you're attached, he's also going to summon hands that come out of the ground. And while you're draw soul, you just go stand in the hands. And that is pretty much the main thing you need to worry about. He also puts a debuff on 2 people in the party. As a healer, you just dispel one of them and heal through the other. There is a little bit of AoE as well, so there will be grievous wounds to deal with, but otherwise it's fairly straightforward. So on the right there, you can see the hands. So when he draws souls to 2 of the DPS, they need to go stand in that. And then if you don't stand in that, then you get frozen in place and take massive amounts of damage. So there we go. So the DPS are doing their job and standing in the hands as they're picked. The debuffs are coming out, dispelling one, healing through the other, keeping everybody fairly topped up. So there it is there, the Phantasmal, just going to cleanse that. He's got Draw Soul. You can see the line connecting between the DPS. They were stacked into the hands there, which is fine. You can share hands. It's not a big deal as long as you're in it. It's when you're not in it that's a problem. If you get caught outside, you have a few seconds to get in. If you're caught outside after 10 seconds, then you get immobilized. And then you start taking massive amounts of damage. This next wing is the wing for Gorechop. This is one of the more painful wings. I know that I mentioned up front that there is a lot of tight spaces, and this is problematic during bursting. That's the debuff I couldn't think of earlier, where as you kill things, it's not this week, it was last week, they add a debuff where you explode with damage. This is a little bit more troublesome due to the blood of Ichors and the poisons that are going to come out. So there's poison on the ground as well as diseases that are hitting the group. And then as we're killing them, it's adding Ichor, so blood on the ground that you can't stand in. So there's lots of damage here that is hitting everybody. All of us have grievous wounds. Try and get everybody topped up because it is a fair amount of damage, as well as with just those mobs in particular. These little guys like to jump around and land on people, and it's kind of uncontrollable. So everybody's going to end up with grievous wounds. So I'm just trying to get everybody topped up, and there's a lot of blood in between me and the mob, so I was standing back, so I didn't have a chance to generate holy power. So I'm just standing there, and there's another blood spot. So this is one of the more I guess, troublesome areas, if you will. So here they are, they're jumping around, they're applying the grievous wounds all over the place, just DPSing them down. They're all going to die, and then they're going to drop the blood, so and as well as the poison there. So we're just backing them up so we don't all have to deal with that. This pull got pulled in really quickly. Aggro was temporarily an issue as they're all running around before the tank could really sustain or establish himself as a dominant threat. So the big guy, just basically don't stand in front of him, because when he pukes, if it hits you, it's going to put a debuff on you as well as stun you. Here we go, there's more poison on the ground and more debuffs onto the party. The 6-second CD on a cleanse makes this kind of painful. Just pick one and heal through the rest as best you can. It lasts for actually quite a while, so you're able to get a few dispels off, but they do apply it quite easily as well. So now we got rid of the small guys. We're just going to deal with this big guy and heal through. Only the warrior, or only one of us had grievous wounds right there, so we'd finally got caught up. And now we're off onto the next pull. This is the one that you can skip. So here we are here. There's a big ad that walks around in this room. We can actually skip him. You just need him to pat around. So he's going to walk this way. Oh, he actually turned around, sorry. So he either pats all the way around or he does turn around. So now we're able to just bypass him and go to the exit. So there's a entrance right over here. So here we are here. So we're just bypassed him. So it's the one ad that you actually get to skip. We're going to keep moving forward. This is another annoying pull, if you will. It's got some jumpers. It's got the plague guy there, the big guy, so just don't stand in front because he's going to spit. So we're just AoEing these guys down. There's going to be blood on the ground as they die. There was one of the breasts, so it adds a debuff as well as stuns. Luckily, nobody got hit by that. So we're just going to cleanse the debuffs as we get them and heal through the grievous wounds. Pretty straightforward. We got both of them here. They're just getting AoE down. They do hit the tank somewhat hard, which isn't too bad. So the tank is about half here. We're just going to get them topped up. We got rid of that. This next part, there are ads that will jump out when you step around where the big guy is here, but we're actually just going to pull him by himself. So about halfway back where my mouse is back here is where ads would come out. So we got this guy. This one is a little bit different. Rather than standing in front, or sorry, whereas the other one you couldn't stand in front, this one you can't stand in front or behind. As you saw, I got disoriented there and took a lot of damage, and he puts the poison all over the ground. So for this one, you need to stand to the side. So here I've learned my lesson, moved off to the side. He spews forward and backwards, and you just stand off to the side and you don't take any of the damage, don't get hit there. So now we're just waiting for the poison to dissipate, and then we're good to go. So there goes our tank jumping forward, and all these little guys come out. This is what I was talking about. Pulling them at the same time as getting the big guy is manageable, but it is a lot of damage. It's just safer to do it this way. We're already doing very well on time, so there's no point in risking it there and taking unnecessary damage. So now we have them all taken care of. It's just two more of these little guys. Little in comparison to the guy behind, to Gore Chop, who is standing there behind. So again, these are the ones where you just don't want to stand in front when they spew. So you can hide behind them. It was the big guy previously that you don't want to stand in front or behind. So for the butcher here, we're just going to don't stand in front, otherwise you're fine. We're just going to DPS them down here. Don't stand in the blood. Pretty simple here. So just get through this and then we'll be on to Gore Chop. So Gore Chop is a fun little fight. There's not too many mechanics for it. So basically he is going to have hooks that appear on either wall and start to move across the area. And basically in the hooks, there's going to be a gap, and you want to find the gap and wait for it to pass you, because then there's going to be a brief window and then another set of hooks is going to come and close that gap, and you basically step through. So here we go here. You're just going to move to the side. So I've identified where the space is, move through, and then sidestep it. So he also, while that is happening, there was a brown circle that appears around Gore Chop, and basically you need to be in that window for while the hooks are coming down, because if you aren't, then he'll cyclone you in there and solo. So here he is, tenderize and smash. Want to be somewhat close to it, start in it when he starts to cast it, otherwise it sucks you in, and then just step out of it, and then the hooks come, and then you find your gap and step through it. If you're not in that circle when he starts to cast, he sucks you in towards it. And that's pretty much the fight. He does drop that, some poison on the ground as usual in WoW, just don't stand in the poison. When he starts to cast his tenderizing smash, move out, look for the hole, identify the hole, step through, good to go. So our tank is doing a really good job here, just kiting him along, not letting him stay near the poison too much, and we're just going to wrap this up quite nicely. So that was a pretty simple, straightforward boss, very clean, nobody got hit by hooks, good sidestepping. The tank did a great job at just kiting the boss around little bit by little bit, didn't drag him too far, the poison was controllable in the middle, and that was a simple fight. So now we're on to the last boss here. So now we're on to Mordretha. So this is the last boss of the encounter. She has a few different phases. So basically she'll have a laser that she'll shoot. Don't stand in front. She will turn a direction. So don't, keep moving as she's spewing her laser. She also puts a circle around you. This is going to summon an ad. Basically, it has a circle around your character. So don't stack up with each other, but stand somewhat close together, because when the ad spawns, you want to be able to group them up and AoE them down. And she also has like a warp rift that kind of sucks you in during that phase. And then the last phase is during when she hits about 50%, she starts summoning ghost combatants that will help her out. And there's a couple different phases to that. One is they just stand in the middle dueling each other, kind of don't get hit by them. And then she also has like stampeding buffaloes. We actually do insanely well on this boss. I was actually surprised. So here's her laser, the Dark Devastation. Move through, move to the side, just don't stand in front, don't get hit. Continue DPSing down. So this is what I was talking about, the Manifest Death. So we all have circles, we're spread out. There's going to be ads that appear. We're all reasonably together. And there's the rift that's trying to suck us in. So we're getting the ads all stacked up and DPSing them down. She's almost at 50% now. Here comes another laser. She's going to shoot that. Our heroism debuff actually fell off, which was nice timing. So we're going to use hero here. So now she's at 50. This is her Echoes of Carnage. So this is where summoning the ghosts to help out. They're going to spawn around the area. Don't stand in white circles. Don't run through the combatants. We popped hero, and now we're just going to absolutely blow her up. I was expecting another phase out of this, and I was surprised at how well she went down. Here's the stampeding buffaloes. Basically, don't get hit. She does throw out a laser. She can do... There's a more complicated version of that where they're doing the charge when she has the Dark Reaping out, and you need to run away from the rift that's appeared. So that was actually a very clean run, and that was the M+8 for Theater of Pain. So it was a little bit, it was fun for me. There's a lot more healing than I was used to. The Grievous Wounds was a new buff that I hadn't seen before. And at the start of the run, I didn't quite realize that I had to top everybody up to 100% to remove the buff. But that was some quick learning that I figured out. There was a lot of heals that I just need to pump out. So I was actually pretty happy with my performance. There were some pulls where I was 4 to 5k healing, which is nice because sometimes when people don't take damage, you don't get to see such high numbers. So it was nice to actually have so much work to do. Had to be on top of things. So it was just, overall for the dungeon, just remember, because there's going to be the blood ichor that spawns as you kill mobs, just be aware. If you're the tank, just kind of keep adjusting the group of mobs that you're tanking. Don't leave them all in the same pool, because one, it heals the mobs that you're trying to kill, as well as your melee DPS is going to be standing in it and taking unnecessary damage. Be aware of how many people in the party have grievous wounds and how your healer is handling it, particularly when you're going from one pull to another. Make sure the healer has the opportunity to kind of top people up. Don't have people at like 30% with grievous wounds and go and make another pull while your healer is like running low on mana or just trying to top them up. Be nice to the healer, let them get the debuff off before you proceed. This group was pretty good and smooth running. I was able to do that for the most part, or when we were moving ahead with a couple members on grievous wounds, they were above 50-60% health, as well as I was under control. I never really had any mana issues, so we were good to go that way. So I don't want to ramble too much more. So this is, like I was saying, this is Theater Plane +8. If you have any questions or comment, please let me know below. Have a great day.